So, hi viewers. Today I'll be talking to a very good friend. Her name is Amber Jones, and I can vouch with my life and everything I have that she's one of the most wonderful people you would ever come across. But then, living in the US for the past 4 years at least, I keep getting lots of questions. I attend a talk, and the professor can start a slide by saying, "In Africa, albinos are killed." Then I start to wonder, am I living in a different Africa? People come to me, they ask, "In Africa, do you drive in lanes?" Somebody asks, "Do you eat monkeys?" I mean, all sorts of silly questions. And on when you think about it for the first time, you would want to think they are racist. But if you give it a bit of further thought, you'd notice that no, they are not racist. It's more of ignorance. It's something they have probably heard or learned from somewhere, and that is why they are trying to ask these questions. And so I want to speak to someone who is an American. I want to know how these thoughts are actually developed, how they come about, so that the person actually shares her experience with me. All right. So, Amber, welcome.
Hi.
All right. So, just like I said in my introduction, okay, when you ever think of Africa, just from what you see in the media, what comes to your mind when you hear of Africa?
So from a media perspective, I think that I think that Africa has kind of been lumped as one country, even though it is made up of multiple different countries. I think that, as an American watching for many years, what I viewed as or what I saw from an African standpoint was, donate to this charity and you can help like feed a village or something. And so I've always kind of looked at African countries as being dependent on like a savior complex. And I think it wasn't until I actually met people from different countries of Africa, like you, and I've had friends in undergrad, and I think they were the ones that really exposed me to the realities of being from the country from the continent of Africa. And I think it's just a matter of with the media, you kind of look at Africa as being very needy or being very, you have to, like, they need our help or we need to go and do ministry and help them, survive. But it's definitely a warped view that I think has been portrayed within the American media.
All right. So in school, like growing up in the US, do you ever learn about Africa?
You learn about the slave trade. That's about it. I mean, and I'm from a southern state, so I can probably vouch for a lot of different states within the United States that there wasn't much taught about specific, the like what it would be like to be from Africa, or like what different countries, different like areas would comprise of. It's more so you learn about it from an American standpoint, and from an American standpoint, you learn about the slave trade and you learn about how that has impacted. But other than that, not anything specific.
All right. And if I ever tell you that I've never ever seen a giraffe, a hippo, an elephant, will you believe?
I I know you, so it's. I mean, yes, I would believe you, but I do understand why that is an idea. Like you think of like Africa as being like the within jungles and stuff. You think you're like, I don't know, running with lions, or I don't know, like cheetahs and stuff. So it's there are heavy stereotypes associated with being from or meeting people from Africa. So you do assume those things. But I hope I don't think that, but but I can definitely see why that would be a stigma for sure.
Yeah, the reason why I asked is because being in the US for 4 years, when I turn on the TV and I'm looking at anything about Africa, it's either they are showing people who are needy, people
Mhm.
who are homeless, or probably there's this kind of war going on in another country. And at best, if they are not showing any of these, then they are showing the jungle, they are showing animals
Mhm.
running about. So it gets me wondering, is that what Africa is about? Because trust me, this isn't the majority, this is the very least part of Africa. I mean, when you wake up on a normal day in Africa, you have millions going about their daily activities, millions not living in huts, millions
Mhm.
surviving and providing for their families. But then this is what they portray. And also, even with movies in the US, when they come to Africa to shoot, it's always in the villages, in the very rural areas with no water, no electricity. And I think these problems are problems that you'll find in every other country. Because let me be very frank with you, I've passed by areas that look like slums in the US. But then that is not what is depicted to the world. When they depict America, they depict tall buildings, lights, electricity, food, water, shelter, everything. But then when they come to Africa to shoot movies, this is what they portray. And so, from your own view, what do you think is the reason why this bad kind of perspective or this negative stereotyping of Africa is more portrayed by the media?
Um, I don't know. I think that you never want to. I feel like it comes down to like an old viewpoint that you never want to highlight the trash in your own backyard. And so if you can project like issues going on somewhere else, you don't look as bad. Because I've seen like I've grown up with friends who have done like mission trips to Africa and have done like helping out in little impoverished villages, and to me it's weird because I'm like, okay, I get it, but like we got some neighbors who probably could have used that same type of charitable work. But you never want to put so much emphasis on your area or your hometown or home country being like in a disaster state. And I think that we just have a lot of times used other countries, and it's not, I don't think it's just Africa, but Africa is a great example, but we use other countries to kind of portray that we're not as bad, or like we're not as bad as other countries, and that we are doing better, quote unquote, than other countries. And so it's kind of like an ego thing. I think it comes down to a big, like, we're trying to stroke our ego. If we can help, if we can send out like different types of assistance to different countries, then it looks like we're doing a lot more than we actually need to be doing, because we could be focusing a lot of aid and assistance to domestic type of improvements.
So when you think of Africa too, where do you think most people live? Do you think of huts, small buildings? What do you really think about?
Oh man. So
Yeah, just be
um,
honest.
probably, I don't know. I definitely, that's weird. So I don't know if I don't think I consider like huts, but I guess I don't consider like what I would like the suburban infrastructure that, like, because I live in like the suburbs, and I don't envision the neighborhood that I live in.
Okay.
And so I don't know if it's huts or like shacks or something, but it's like a mosh. I don't know. I really don't
Oh,
know. I don't know. I definitely don't think I've ever. I don't think of like a 5 bedroom, 3 bath like mansion, I guess. I mean, I just think that that's not been not my, like, that's what I just haven't been exposed to anything like that. So I don't know.
right. But would you believe me if I tell you that on average, if anyone is building their own property, like someone, a middle class person who has worked and is going on retirement, if that person is to build, the average room or house is bigger than that of probably a house in the US, will you believe? I'm not saying Africans are
No.
richer, but I'm saying that because when you consider in terms of space, in terms of land size, because here, in my opinion, the lands that people build on are relatively smaller. But then, if you are to consider a typical house, someone who has built in Africa, at least for Ghana, my country, the land size and the buildings really look bigger. Would you believe it?
No,
All right,
but
no problem. No problem. I mean, that's
but
fair.
I think it's just like, I mean, I just haven't been exposed. Like, and also I think another thing that we fail to consider a lot of times when thinking about different countries is that a lot of us aren't but like, I didn't meet anyone from Africa until I was 18, 19 years old in college, and that was because college brings out all types of diversity. But if you're from like areas that are lacking diversity. You don't get exposure to people from different backgrounds. And so like I'll admit, like when I met, my a couple of my friends who are from Africa, I was very shocked at just like what I had envisioned or what I expected versus what actually they like what was their reality. So I think a lot of like our ignorance as a United States is that we just don't interact and we don't have those diverse settings to where we can discuss things like this. And so we don't know what to expect. Like we don't know what a typical house like, and it seems like a dumb question to ask because I know you and I met you and we're friends, so I don't think about asking you like, well, what are your houses like? Like, well, what do you do? And like, you don't chase, like, I don't know, cheetahs. Like you think about, like, you don't think to ask those questions, but, and then at that point you have like all these stigmas that you're just kind of like, oh, well, I think like that's the stereotype that I'm just going to kind of follow. So I think a lot of this is just lack of communication and lack of diversity and lack of useful interactions and useful communication with people from diverse backgrounds.
And when this is a specific question to you. When you ever consider going to Africa, that's for tourism or visit anything, do you
Right.
get scared? Do you think of the fact that someone will kidnap you, an animal will eat you, or anything like that?
Honestly, but I'm gonna be blatantly honest. No, like I don't, because I think I'm a lot more afraid of a lot of different areas in the United States. Because like I will always try to look at what I try to take things for what they are. And I think that, we have to acknowledge that the United States is not all as it's cracked up to be as far as safety, as far as, issues. And so, there are times where I'm in areas where I will lock my doors and I will, call my dad and I'm like, okay, if I get snatched, like try to ping my phone, but that's just within, like the state I'm in. But Africa, I don't honestly, I think I've honestly just had really good interactions with people from Africa. So like they hype it up, like you hype up your country like the best thing in the world. So in my head, I'm excited, but I don't feel it's a safety issue quite as so much. But also I think I'm a very like I'm very cognizant of the safety issues that we have within our own. So I'm like, how much worse could it be than what it is here?
All right. So I'm going to do this. Okay. I'm just going to show you a video of one African country. The name of the country is Mozambique. So I'm going
Okay.
to show you the video of just one African country. And you were right when you stated that most people think of Africa as one country, but then we have as many as about 54 countries in Africa. So I'll just show you a video of one country. And in subsequent videos, I'll be showing at least one country in every session so that anyone who comes across it would know that that is not the Africa they know about. So let me just show you one. This is Mozambique. Did you ever think of a place like this when you think of Africa?
Mm, prior to, yeah, no, probably not.
So this is a city in Africa, this Mozambique. So, I mean, this looks just like places in the
Hmm.
US, right?
Right.
And 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 honestly, this is what it is. We have places that are rural areas. We do have that very remote areas. And then we have the cities too. Just like in the US, you also have cities. And then the cities have all these tall buildings, this nice infrastructure, education being at its best, healthcare at its best. So I mean, I'm just putting this out there so that if anyone ever comes into contact with at least this video, the person will get some kind of education to know that Africa is not exactly what they see and it's
Right.
not what the media makes them think of. And that there are other places the media, I don't know if it's deliberate, decides not to show. Right.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Amber, for spending time with me.
Yeah, of
Thank you
course.
very much. I'm very
Yeah.
grateful.
No, I think this is great. I'm very proud. I think it's a wonderful series. I definitely think we all could use this as educational tools. So I'm very happy to help. I hope I answered questions well. Okay, guys, so be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Cyril's channel and be on the lookout for more wonderful content from him.
Thank you. Let me stop it.